welcome to the Brady Ware Dealership Advisory Series. I'm your facilitator, Becky Livingston from Penn Heel Marketing. Today's topic is, what should I focus on if I want to exit my dealership soon? You'll hear insights from Tony Wolf, Faris Syed, and Tom Hern. So let's jump right in. What should a dealership owner or a broker focus on if he or she wants to exit soon? Before we get to our speakers, ask yourself these questions. Do I have a succession plan? Is my facility compliant? Do I have 3 years of profit, sales, CSI, etc.? What is the quality of my employees? Do I still want an income stream? And do I have a strong team of professionals to assist me? Faris, let's start with you.
So Becky, good question. What is that the seller should be thinking about when he's making up his mind? So you want to look at your options, that who you partner with, who's going to be representing you, which is the company who you're going to be dealing with. That you want to start researching on what are the companies out there which matches with your goals of getting the max valuation for your dealership. Number one. Number two, how reputable they are. Number three, what is the if any one of your group 20 group which you go to, they have done business with them. You want to have those conversations, and then what kind of success did they have. You want to look at those, because a lot of times the seller, the first thing they're going to go after is if a big group out there which you see in automotive news, they've advertised a big 2-page ad, that first thing you pick up the phone and call your broker and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about selling. What can you get me? Do you have buyers for my dealerships or stuff like that? Because these guys are going to come in and take your listing, put you on a 12-month listing, and you'll never hear back from them again.
Yep.
And the second thing they're going to do is put you on an automotive news, a Chrysler Dodge dealership in the southern Georgia market is for sale in A, B, and C. And as soon as the potential buyers pick up the phone and sign an NDA, your financial statements are going all over anybody who's going to pick up and make the phone call. So you got to be very careful who you partner with when you're thinking about selling, and asking the questions. Ask them the question, what kind of process do you have in valuations? What are you going to do for me exactly from the start, day one, all the way till the end? And how are you going to be communicating with me and my group? And how do you market yourself? How do you market my deal? And what kind of buyers are you going to bring? Do you have a list of buyers who you bring into the table? And how many deals have you closed? And ask for some references. Hey, you have any references which we can pick up the phone and call, see how the process went. So all these things come into the play when you have made up your mind. Another person to go to, obviously, you don't want to ask your manufacturer's rep or the GM rep or somebody and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking of myself. That's the last person you want to go to. Because as soon as you mention that to any one of your factory reps, that is going to go like a wildfire. Everybody's going to know about it. So your CPAs are also a good source for that as well, that they know some good people who have done deals, because they run into a lot of, like your company, you run into a lot of good brokers out there, people who have done deals and they have good reputation, because they talk among each other and heard about good brokers out there, people who have done a good job at it. So that's the kind of stuff you want to ask yourself before you
That's great.
Before you go. Yeah.
Great. Tom, anything to add?
First of all, the biggest problem I've seen with, if you're ready to sell, is having an attorney that knows how to be able to structure a buy-sell agreement for an automobile dealership. If you have an attorney that's never done this before, usually that is a big problem, because he doesn't want to make a mistake. So it's going to take longer to make a buy-sell with him than someone who's maybe done 10, 15 of these before. There's the format's pretty much the same in each dealership. You have some little tweaks here and there, but basically they're pretty much the same. So you have to make sure you have the correct attorney making your buy-sell. Otherwise, you're going to have all sorts of problems with this, for sure, for the buyer. He's going to be going over it. So again, you have to pick the right attorney. Two, Faris is right. CPA, having a good CPA there is going to be able to help you and be able to get you the right information and be able to present your information properly so that you get the maximum amount of money out of the dealership. And then as a seller, another thing I'd be looking at is whether the bank that this potential buyer is working with is going to be willing to finance a big enough money. I mean, I know some dealers that say they want to own 8 or 9 dealerships, and the bank says, well, maybe you can own 1, maybe 2. And so you got to be careful when you're working with that, if he doesn't have enough firepower in the banking industry to be able to buy all the dealerships that are necessary. So those are really important things you need to look at. Also, Faris is right. You've got to make sure your management team is still working for you. If it ever gets out that you're thinking of selling, you could be losing some key people. You don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that you keep your key people and make sure it's running as well as possible. Again, everything needs to be basically, if you're in that kind of situation, you want to make sure that you have the proper people in place and you're keeping them there, and so that people aren't leaving because they think you're going to be selling.
Right.
And then the last thing is, do you have a succession plan? I mean, are you selling to your son? Are you selling to your general manager? Those kind of things need to be looked at and go from there. And again, you need to make sure if you are doing that, you have the proper people that are able to structure the deal the way you want it. And then finally, the last thing I would say, so do you want an income stream? In other words, do you want to take all the blue sky in 1 year and pay tax on it? Do you want to take it over a period of time? The danger of that is obviously if something happens to the dealership, you may not get the money.
Right.
So you've got to make those decisions. Or maybe you want to stay on as a consultant for a couple of years and take some of the money over a period of time. So you need to go back through all those things. And again, a good strong CPA and a good strong attorney are very important in getting the proper situation if you're going to sell.
Can't emphasize what Tom mentioned with the attorney enough. It's you see a lot of dealers, well, I've been using, the local attorney or my good friend. And that's great for all of the issues that arise normally in your dealership.
Yep.
But when you're buying a deal or selling, you need a strong dealership oriented CPA and especially the attorney. I've seen a lot of deals go south just because attorneys get all caught up in themselves, and mainly because they don't really understand the business.
Yep.
So I mean, you do that team of the attorney and CPA is very important. Tom mentioned succession planning, or if you're maybe selling to a general manager or something. Again, that's where a strong CPA, automotive centered CPA, comes in, who can value that. Put a good valuation internally of just how you can sell it to that person. Faris mentioned before, which is kind of obviously what we all do. If you're going out to have someone market it for you, how do they do it?
Yep.
As Faris mentioned, we all, the three of us, all kind of work together and keep it we get somebody. It's not going to be blasted out to a huge client list or anything. It's, hey, do you have somebody? We go to the CPA firms. We know most of the large automotive related law firms here in the Southeast and throughout the country. You go to those people for their clients, they're going to be approvable, have the money, and you're not sending someone's financial statements to hundreds of potential buyers. We narrow before we send out financial statements, they are going to qualified buyers who are going to pretty much make an offer. We narrow it down to just a few and keep things. That's the one way to keep things confidential. As Faris said, when it's in automotive news, it doesn't take much to know where that southern, small CDJR deal is in southern, Georgia or somewhere. It gets figured out in a hurry. And it's and the nature of this business is loose lips. And so if you send financials to, like, say, there's people who send it out to 50 some people. Well, that's not going to stay quiet.
Nope.
With us, it's going to be, hey, who do you have? Let's narrow it down. And we stay involved throughout the whole time.
One more thing on the confidentiality piece. I was the second broker on a listing, which was listed for about a year. And I had the dealer who was talking to me. He was paranoid about listing. And I asked him, I said, well, what does that happen in the past? What makes you so paranoid about listing? He goes, Faris, I had hired one of the largest brokerage firms in the country who I picked up from Automotive News. And I called them up and he came and gave me a 12-month listing. And the same exact scenario I'm mentioning, that somebody came and signed with that broker a confidentiality agreement. He sent all the financial statements and everything else. And he said, one day I go out to my service department. This guy is standing in my service drive talking to my service manager with my financial statements in his hand, asking questions. Imagine. And I was like, are you kidding me? He goes, no. And he said, I talked to your broker. He sent it to me. I'm here looking at the dealership and I'm interested in buying. So,
wow.
And this is very recent. And all of us, we know a big brokerage firm in the country. I'm like, this is just craziest thing I've ever heard. And it's just, so I understood what the dealer is talking about. And I'm just almost, fell off my chair. I'm like, this is incredible. How is that even possible that you have not qualified the people and hand out the statements like that and have them come into the dealership as they're asking questions. So just a side note.
Wow.
This happens.
Yeah, and that isn't as you know, and Tom will probably support too, that's not a unique situation. I've heard of that quite a bit, especially lately. Yeah, phone calls to the dealership, talking to a general manager, talking to different people.
I wonder what the benefit of doing that is. I just don't understand. Is it to spook
there isn't
team?
any. It is the
Yeah.
spook team, and which doesn't, as a buyer, doesn't really benefit you.
No.
All of a sudden, you've got them squeamish or all jumping ship. It benefits nobody, but obviously
Exactly.
certainly hurts the seller.
This question is for each of you. What's one thing that you tell a dealer, buyer or seller, to think about before they start this process?
I guess, Becky, I would say this, if someone's thinking about doing this, is that you've got to take the emotions out of it. This is your baby. You're going to sell it. And you've got to say to yourself, I'm doing as Tony and Faris said earlier, it's like the stock market. You sell high, you buy low. And if you decide this is the time to sell, you can't get emotional. You have to say, yep, I've made my money. I'm going to make a good profit. I'm going to take my money and run and look at something else later on. But you got to get the emotions out of this. I've seen too many times where somebody gets to pretty much to the end of this situation. And I just had a deal like this in Memphis. The guy was selling the owner was going to sell a General Motors dealership that had been in the family for 100 years. And I had a buyer. The buyer came to the table, and the owner finally said, "No, I'm going to sell it to my son." Now, the emotions, I'm sure that there were all these emotions going through the whole thing. So again, you're going to have to, and you can cut out Memphis, the thing, right? But anyway, it's just
that wouldn't be. Oh no.
But it's just you just have to make sure that if you're going to do this, you're going to do it, and you got to get the emotions out of it, and you got to say this is what we're going to do, and this is where we're going.
Okay, I like it, Tony.
That is key. Not to repeat that, but the person has had to get over that emotional hump. I've had that same experience, Tom. I brought him exactly what he wanted. And then it was, I don't really know what I'm going to do after this. Or, well, my wife, we've been over this. So it's clearing that emotional hurdle. And I've asked some people, what are you going to do after this? Almost like, I want to know what you plan on doing. Do you have your next season of life planned out here that, this is a final decision, kind of like, Regis Philbin, is this your final answer? That you are gonna sell. That is the biggest thing emotionally. Have they talked about it with their family or whatever? But that is the biggest key. Am I ready to follow through on this? Especially nowadays, there is going to be a buyer. So if you're putting your deal out there, you got to be ready to follow it through.
Now, so I'm going to use that as your answer. You have to be ready to follow through. Not just the emotions, but don't start the process if you're going to balk halfway through. This isn't a baseball game. You don't set the pitcher out on the mound and let him just screw around with the baseball. You got to get it through start to put the plan in place if you're going to go through with it. Take the emotions out of it. Make that decision. Am I ready to go through with it? And I'm going to say you have to make the decision. And then Faris, what's bring it home? What's the last thing?
So Becky, I think if this question is rolling in your head, that I think I'm ready. So you are one person, you are one dealer, you're one person who's running the ship, but around you is your family members, your wife and your sons and daughters in the family. And then that's a circle of your advisors, which is your CPA, your attorney, or your close friends. So you want to talk to your family members first. Talk it through with them that, hey, this is what I'm thinking. So you can all look at individual as a family that what happens the day after. Because a lot of different emotions go through it as soon as you've decided and you've started that conversation, but your son who works in the dealership, he has no clue that you are selling the dealership.
Right.
That's going to become a problem. And that same thing is, oh, my son, he just found out that I have a broker walking in the door, or my CPA has told them. Now he wants to buy the dealership. Now you're stuck in the middle. What do you do?
Yep.
So everybody who's involved in your daily life inside your family, you talk to them first, and then you go about talking to the right person, your advisors. Then, hey, you know what? This is what I'm thinking. Who do you know in this business who is a expert on a financial? He can help me go through these questions and interview 2 or 3 people before you make up your mind. If you're looking at a very good broker or an advisor, you go through that, at least interview 2 or 3 guys and find out that who is the right person matching your personality versus just blindly picking up the phone and calling from an ad in the paper. That probably is a few things you can do before you make up your mind. Okay, well, you know what? I want to go out there, start marketing my deal. So your family, number 1. Number 2, your advisors. Number 3 is your partnership to who's going to go take it out to the market is very, very important.
Thank you for listening to this installment, our final installment of our Brady Ware Dealership Advisory Series on M&A.